Well, it's been a while since we've had a chance to dig into the week's business news with Nick Bontis, but after a couple of months, we've brought you back onto the set for another Bontis on Business. So nice to see you, Nick. Let's talk about Ticketmaster. A lot of Tragically Hip fans are quite frustrated by the lack of ticket availability and the fact that Ticketmaster's secondary site is charging sort of exorbitant prices for tickets, et cetera, et cetera. The government's looking into it. We hear that's not really helping the current situation. So my question is, do consumers have a legitimate complaint about what's gone on here?
Yes, big time, especially when you're talking about only 4 people getting tickets this morning.
Yeah,
that's
lineups.
legit.
Yeah.
So what have we learned? Well, there was a similar problem in New York State, and the government there, the Attorney General of New York State, did a study. This is the only study data that we have, and upwards of 50% of tickets were actually pre-given out to anybody in the public that could buy them. And that's the problem, Nick. Can we regulate the percentage of tickets that are given to sponsors and VIPs and places like StubHub or scalpers who then upsell them and make astronomical profits? So I think the government does have a role to play. They have to raise that percentage so that the percentage of the public that can get tickets is as high as possible. And if scalpers are making a profit, that's okay too, because at the end of the day, it's supply and demand. If you want to pay $1,000 for a concert, that's your choice as a consumer. But let's get some of those profits going back to the artists.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a good point there, Nick. Let's talk real estate as well. A lot of people profiting in real estate right now, but we also hear the question comes up time and time again, are we in a bubble? Record sales, record prices, all the big markets in Canada, they just sort of won't cool down, it seems. But then we hear about the looming correction side of things here. So what should we be looking for as early indicators of a possible correction? And can these record prices and sales really continue to be sustained?
So a lot of the analysts out there are saying, yes, we are in a bubble, but in 2 cities, Vancouver and Toronto. Right. So of course, I don't think in Hamilton we're in a crazy bubble. I think we're okay. But there's 2 issues here. Low interest rates, which means more people are buying real estate, bumping up the prices. And foreign investors are also pushing up real estate big time, especially in Vancouver. So we've got a big issue here that we've got to deal with. I think that you have to watch the interest rates. That's going to cause a problem. So the answer to your question is, Nick, yes, I think there will be a correction. Will the bubble burst? The answer is yes. Do I know when it's going to be?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Nick, I can't tell you when it's going to be.
If you could, you'd be a very, very wealthy man. I think we all would. Let's talk about money, dollars in particular, the loonie. Up almost a full cent in today's trading. That's a pretty good thing against the greenback. But what should people who are perhaps going to cross the border for summer vacation do? Can they hedge it all against fluctuations, and how should they budget if they're going to be spending U.S. dollars?
So once again, like real estate, it's hard to predict.
Yes.
For me personally, when the dollar gets maybe to the mid-80s, 85 cents or higher, we're not there yet, then it's probably worth it to go to the U.S. because don't forget, you got all these expenses, gas, crossing the border, your time and all that. So we're not there yet, but we will be. With regards to travel, that's a separate issue. If you still want to go to Florida or Arizona, where have you, got to be very, very smart with how you're spending your dollars. Do some research ahead of time. There's a couple of places in Myrtle Beach, I heard, and in Florida that are still taking the Canadian dollar at par. Yeah. Wow. So be a smart consumer when you're going down there.
Nick Bontis from the McMaster DeGroote School of Business. It's always been fun. Thank you so much.
My man.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Nick.